I told you guys we could do more on this topic. I just wanted to see if you guys wanted more, and you did. So here we are. My name is Danny Burke. Sit back, relax. It's time to get a little bit freaked out now with the top 10 scary kids who remember their past lives part 2. Alright, at number 10 now we have Sam Taylor. To put it quite simply, Sam Taylor claimed to be the reincarnation of his own granddad. When he was a year and a half old, as his father changed his diaper, he looked up at him and said, "When I was your age, I used to change your diapers." As he got older, he came out with more things that made his parents think he was the reincarnation of his grandfather. He would talk about how his sister had been murdered and how his wife used to make milkshakes for him near the end of his life. This was all true. He even identified his granddad in a school picture from when he was 16 and said, "That's me." Cool. That's also a bit creepy. And so's this. At number 9 now we have Suzanne Ghanem. This story takes place in Lebanon. 10 days before Suzanne was born, a woman called Hanan Mansour had died after a failed heart surgery. She had always said she was going to be reincarnated and have lots to say about her previous life. She had tried to call her daughter Layla before the heart operation but couldn't get through to her. Just before Suzanne was born, her mother had a dream that a woman came to her and kissed her saying, "I am going to come to you." When Suzanne was 16 months old, she would take the phone and say, "Hello, Layla," over and over again. Later, Suzanne explained that Layla was one of her children and that her real name was Hassan. She said her head was still small and to wait until it's bigger, then she might be able to tell them more. When she met Hassan's family, she named every single one of them and knew details only Hassan would have known. She still called Hassan's husband when she was 25 just to see how he was. Alright, at number 8 now we have Titu Singh. When he was 2.5 years old, this boy from India told his family about his other life in Agra, a city in the north. He said his real name was Suresh Verma. He had a wife called Uma and 2 children and owned a TV and radio shop. He said he had been shot, cremated, and his ashes thrown in the river. He said he was homesick to go back. His brother visited the city and found a TV and radio shop ran by a widow called Uma. It was called Suresh Radio, owned by Suresh Verma, who had been shot. When Uma visited Titu, he asked her how the children were doing and shocked her by talking about their very specific family memories. Perhaps the most shocking thing of all though was Titu's birthmark, a round indented shape in the exact same spot where the bullet killed Suresh Verma. Coming at number 7 now we have PM. This story comes from a case study where the child was referred to as PM. PM was a boy whose half brother had died from an illness 12 years before he was born. That boy limped, he had a fracture on his left tibia, he had an operation above his right ear and had chemotherapy through his external jugular. He died at 2 years old, blind in his left eye. When PM was born, he had 3 birthmarks matching exactly where his brother's illness had affected him. He had a swelling above his right ear, a mark on his neck, and corneal leukoma, which caused him to be blind in his left eye. He also had a limp, and he told his parents he wanted to return to the old family home even though he had never been there before, and he described it with perfect accuracy. Wow. Okay, at number 6 now we have Daniel Jurdi. First, let's talk about Rashid Kadej. He was a mechanic from Fermata in Lebanon. He died in 1968 in a car crash at a military beach at the age of 25. His friend Ibrahim was driving. A year later, Daniel Jurdi was born. His first word was Ibrahim. At the age of 2, he told his mother he wanted to go home. Then he said, "This is not my house, you are not my mother, my father died." My father's name was Naeem. Naeem was the name of Rashid's father. At the age of 3, Daniel's family passed the military beach where Rashid had died. He started crying, he covered his eyes and said, "This is where I died." A psychiatrist who heard this story arranged a meeting between the 2 families. Daniel recognized Rashid's sister and called her by name. He did the same thing with his friend Ibrahim. The family accepted Daniel as their son from a previous life and he would visit them every month and stay with them. Alright, at number 5 now we have Luke Ruehlman. At 2 years old, Luke started talking about Pam. His mum had no idea who Pam was, so she asked him. Luke said he used to be Pam, a girl with black hair who traveled in Chicago. He said, "I died and went up to heaven and saw God, who eventually pushed me back down. When I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke." The mother asked how Pam died and Luke said, "In a fire." Luke's mother searched online and found that a Chicago fire in 1993 had killed 19 people, including a woman called Pam Robinson. Alright, at number 4 now we have a girl called Kendra Carter. Kendra began swimming lessons when she was 4 years old and attached herself herself immediately to her swimming coach. She told her mother that the coach's baby had died when she was sick and she pushed the baby out. Her mother asked her how she knew this and Kendra said, "I'm the baby that was in her tummy." She then described the abortion. Her mother found out that the coach did have an abortion 9 years before. The girl started to get closer to the coach and the mother let her stay with her 3 nights a week until she fell out with her. Kendra then became depressed and didn't speak for 4 months until her mother let her see the coach again. Coming in at number 3 now, we have Taranjit Singh. At 6 years old, this boy from India claimed that he had been a person called Satnam Singh. This boy lived in another village which he described in detail, and Taranjit knew his father's name. He said he had been killed while riding his bike home from school and had died from head injuries. He recognized Satnam's families and all the objects in their home. But here's the real creepy thing. A forensic scientist took samples of Taranjit's handwriting and compared it to Satnam's handwriting. He found them to be identical. Some people say that your handwriting is almost as unique as your fingerprints, and it's incredibly difficult to convincingly fake it. At number 2 now, we have the twins. Dor I Phew and Dor Sapai were 2 sisters from Burmese who died in their old age in the early 1960s. They were both Buddhists who believed in reincarnation. 2 years after their death, twin sisters were born 4 kilometers away, called Ma Nyunt Nyunt San and Ma San San Nyunt. When they were 3 or 4 years old, their mother jokingly asked them where they came from. They said from the coca tree. They didn't exist nearby. Then one day someone mentioned the name of one of the sisters' sons. The girls said he should not be allowed to visit because he was a gambler and spent all their property. The twins said they came from the same town as the women. There were coca trees there. They said they put up water stands for travelers in that life. That's something the women did. At age 5 they remembered their own names, and when they were shown a photograph they both pointed to a separate sister and said that was them. The evidence kept building up even more, but for many people it's the physical similarities that are all they need to be convinced. And finally, number 1 now, we have Joey Verwey. When this girl was 3 years old, she started recalling details of her past lives. That's right, not life. Lives. 10 of them, in fact. She said her first life was as a cave dweller millions of years ago. She led researchers to the caves, the same ones actually where the first Australopithecus were found, also known as the missing link. She then described her other lives, a slave in ancient Egypt with details of the slave ships and how she built stone roads there. In another life, she wore a veil on her face and saw an elephant carrying a princess. In another one, she was a persecuted Christian under the Roman Emperor Nero's reign. She said she may have even met Saint Peter. Finally, she remembered growing up in South Africa as the grandchild of President Paul Kruger. She said she had 10 children. Researchers found that one of them was still alive and in her 90s. When Joey was 5, she met the daughter, who said Joey reminded her of her mother. The two then talked for hours about their past life together. Okay, that's enough. I'm a little bit freaked out now. I'd feel a lot better if you guys could suggest some more videos for us to do. No more creepy reincarnation ones though, please. I'll do some more of them in my next life. My name is Danny Burke. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.